Liberals are uniquely immoral. Welcome to John Mike Keene. And if you're a liberal, come on in. We'll treat you well. I'll actually love you pretty dang good. But you will hate my guts and treat us like garbage. That's one of the key differences. Here, let me make my case. Here's that FEMA lady. This is Marnie Washington. We did a video on her, so I got to keep, straighten you all out. That at first it was presented as if she was the only one who told FEMA people to not give aid to people with Trump signs in their yards for her hurricane relief. She's going after her bosses and saying she wasn't the only one.
Stating that I was fired. They all alleged that these actions were made on my own recognizances and that it was for my own political advances.
That's FEMA saying it was only her own politics, and all liberals at MSNBC going, this is not widespread. This is an isolated incident. And now this lady's going to make a case that it was not isolated.
However, if you look at the record, there is what we call a community trend. And unfortunately, it just so happened that the political hostility that was encountered by my team, and I was on two different teams during this deployment, they just so happened to have the Trump campaign signage.
So that's a community trend. They happen to have that signage. You do not give them help. And she's saying it wasn't just something she came up with. It was top-down FEMA.
FEMA always preaches avoidance first and then de-escalation. So this is not isolated. This is a colossal event of avoidance, not just in the state of Florida, but you will find avoidance in the Carolinas.
And not only does she have this testimony, but it's backed up with the phone calls. When people on the ground called to get help from FEMA, many times the call didn't go answered, or people never came and checked in on people who were dying from a hurricane. That's what Democrats do. I just want to call out Democrats.
Senior leadership will lie to you and tell you that they do not know. But if you ask the DSA crew leads and specialists what they are experiencing in the field, they will tell you. Demand for FEMA to give you those incident reports.
FEMA will not give them. They're covering up the incidents reports. And we're going to have to do a full-blown investigation now. This is going to be another controversy, just like how the CIA went woke, just like how the military went woke, just like how everything that the woke Democrat culture touches turns things inhuman and evil and hurts people deeply. They actually hurt people. The idea that you treat someone like garbage just because they voted for Kamala Harris or voted for Donald Trump, that does not generally occur on the right. It generally occurs on the left. And here's another example of it over on The View.
Whatever your reason is, I would never let my politics be the reason I don't show up to see my family, because they won't always be there.
So that's a great case, is that she would not show up for her family because her dad, let's say, voted for Trump. Okay. Why? Because they won't always be there. You celebrate people even when they greatly disagree with you.
I'm going to disagree. I completely understand her point, because I really do feel that this candidate, President-elect Trump, is just a different type of candidate.
And now here's Sunny Hostin saying she agrees with people who do not want to visit their parents or break up with their families. There's also videos of women who are breaking up from their husbands if they voted for Trump. And this is Sunny Hostin. I'm just saying, I didn't make up that Democrats are doing this. She's admitting it. And I believe it's uniquely evil.
From the things he's said and the things he's done and the things he will do, it's more of a moral issue for me.
Oh, she's claiming that her issue against Trump is moral, which I believe her issue with Trump is moral. But my issue with Kamala Harris is moral too. I believe her positions are immoral, many of them even murderous. And so for her to say, well, she's trying to come up with an excuse now, right? So first you come up with your conclusion, which is that she hates Trump and she wants to punish people who voted for them. And then you start filling in the reasons going, for me, it's moral. Well, Sonny, that's not a distinction from me, because I believe Kamala Harris is immoral too. And I would sit down with one of my kids and still love them and help them, even if they were Kamala supporters.
And I think it's more of a moral issue for other people. We're just, I would say it was different when, let's say, Bush got elected. You may not have agreed with his policies, but you didn't feel like he was a deeply flawed person, deeply flawed by character, deeply flawed in morality.
Hey, I think Bush was great. However, I always understood the peaceniks like Cindy Sheehan, who said that he was deeply immoral for getting us into wars and killing all these soldiers. So I get it that people have true moral concerns. The idea that George Bush was some kind of angel and Trump is evil is ridiculous. All presidents have some kind of body count. You just might disagree with Trump the same way that I disagree with Kamala Harris. I think she was, and Biden are uniquely evil.
Devs called him deeply flawed and demonized him.
But you got to admit, they're very different figures.
And there she is. She's trying to pretend like there's a distinction between Bush's Trump, which is to justify why she treats them differently. And I'm saying I don't buy her reason.
Just the presence of me, and she made it very clear it was my skin color.
Gina was with her friend Mary Jennings doing this, supporting Donald Trump, waving flags and signs, when she said the woman confronted her over her political beliefs and race.
And then that's when she shoved me, pushed me back, and I said, don't touch me. And then not even a second, she just popped me right in my chin.
Here's how the woman arrested, who hasn't been charged, described it to police.
Was to push her away, and I put my hand to her chin.
And that's when Mary stepped in.
She punched me, but she connected, and, it slammed my jaw shut.
In fact, I don't see anything that Trump did that is uniquely immoral to a point that she couldn't sit down at a Thanksgiving dinner table with her parents.
I mean, you along with Millie and along with John Kelly warned us about how deeply flawed he was as a candidate.
And she's just going back. All she's saying is she's not going to give up what the Democrats were saying last week when they lost an election. And I'm thankful for that. Good, Sonny. To the leftists, and there are people in every party who do not learn, don't want to learn, or they just don't want to change. I get it. Keep your values. You're going to keep doing this. Kelly and Millie said that Trump was a dictator, so he's a dictator. Kamala Harris and Biden's already meeting with Trump, so doesn't believe he's an existential threat. He wouldn't sit down, and who would give a peaceful transfer of power to Hitler or to an existential or a deeply immoral person? Everyone in every Democrat who's helping Trump with the transition do not believe what Sonny is saying.
And so I think when people feel that someone voted not only against their families, but against them and against people that they loved, I think it's okay to take a beat.
My kids, they're welcome to come, even if they become the worst political opponent in the world. It's not that politics don't mean anything. I believe they're very serious. But I just believe also that you love the other person in spite of them being incredibly wrong about nearly everything. I'm John Mike Keene.